and welcome back to Winter Wonderland Zoo, now with a few more decorations, including this one, which was designed specifically to hide donation bins. So now we actually have one of those. I also put down a tree with the most adorable little train going around it, right by the farm. And all of this is thanks to Steam Workshop creators Rohana Arday and Lepivida. There's the train in all its snowy glory. And let's jump straight into building a pony habitat. I'm going to be reusing the fence from the sheep and goat enclosure simply because I want the consistency. This is, after all, supposed to be one farm. And why use two separate fences? You would not. I was also considering just reusing the barn, just turning it into a blueprint and plopping it back down again, but that was a little bit boring. So instead, I went with a new building, a stable, more fitting for ponies. And also, as I said in the previous video, a little bit more of a modern, I'm not even going to call it style, but building technique. And again, it is not going to remain this horrid purple color. There we go. Now, I have been pre-recording these episodes, but I'm not all the way done with the whole thing on December 1st. That was a strange sentence. But anyway, I did hear the new DLC announcement about it being a grasslands pack. And when I heard that, I was so hoping for another equine. Maybe a different species of zebra or a donkey, like a wild. I know they're not technically equines, but I'm slightly disappointed. Actually, I'm pretty disappointed that there is no hoofed, non-cloven hoofed animal in the pack. It still looks pretty awesome, though. I am completely in love with the armadillo. But returning to the stable, where no armadillos will be living, these metal girders, what are they actually called? Yeah, I tend to use those a lot. I like the sort of more industrial, functional look that they have. I think it lends the build a certain air of realism, because they look like they're there to support things and not to just look pretty. I do wish that the other painted metal pieces, those square metal beams, could be recolored as well as those. Because those things, you can make them light gray, you can make them completely black, but the other square metal beams, even when you make them completely black, they're still gray. So they don't really match. But I fixed it. I found a way around it by just using the round ones instead. And I really do like the way, I say that a lot, I really do like, yes I do, the way that this actually looks like a real stable. And sliding doors. Yeah, those are the ones that cannot be made completely black. That is as black as they go. So I had to go in and recolor everything else instead. But, I mean, that looks good too. Yeah, that's my ADHD building technique here, where I do half of one thing and then do something else and then return to the first thing and do most of it. But hey, we all end up in the same place eventually. Got the animal transport not packed. Was packed. Now it's not. It was unpacked. The ponies are here. Whee! And I don't usually rename my animals, but this time I decided to sort of simplify their names a bit, except for Odie. Odie is named after an actual mule that one of my bonus daughters ended up on this tourist ride through the forest, and it was the most misbehaving mule ever. It attempted to walk through a forked tree, and she was, I think, 9 and hadn't actually been on horseback before. They stuck her on the most stubborn animal ever, who just kind of decided to go its own way most of the time, which was a little bit scary at the time, but pretty hilarious afterwards. She was a brave kid. She's still brave, but she's not really a kid anymore. Now, I've been calling these guys ponies in this video because that is what they are standing in for at this farm. But they are called Przewalski's horse. Apparently that's how all those many consonants are pronounced, which I find kind of funny because cheval means horse in French, so they're basically horses. And moving on from the ponies to, I said I was gonna fill in this very large empty area here a bit, so that's what I'm doing. Putting in a little area where they sell the Christmas trees that they grow at the farm. Now, the trees that I used for the vendor are not the same trees that I used for the fields of trees, because I'm sort of imagining that the trees here are actually wrapped in those nets that they often are when you buy a Christmas tree, which makes them more compact. And I realize that what I'm saying doesn't really make any sense because you can't see the trees yet, but you will. And yes, the path in the back is still a staff path, even though it is not a staff path, because there's a patch of staff path underneath the wood here. I think the staff pathing in this game is, it's a great functional feature, but it's also incredibly ugly. The logo print on them, so I tend to use just a bit of it to separate the staff area from the guest area, because the guests can't cross over even a teeny bit of staff path, and then you can just use whatever path you want behind that. Most of my zoos I use the concrete path for the staff because I can just put down a few of those concrete slabs on top of the staff path to camouflage it and have it look like the other path. yeah, that's a little glimpse of my backstage workshop, where I pretty much took every single potentially useful item in the game and attempted to recolor it into either a red and greenish Christmassy theme or a blue and white theme that I used over by the penguins. And there are a lot of items in the game that can be Yuleified, including these African, obviously Christmas tree ornaments. And the plaster pieces. And the little bits of rope. Now, I had already started doing the cinematic shots when I realized that the stable didn't have a door, and neither did the restaurant, which I mentioned in yesterday's episode. So that was the last thing I did in this build, is just add doors to everything. And that's another thing I really like using those metal support beams for, just doing sliding doors on animal houses. Those are the wood pieces, I think they're called door piece or something, from the new the Halloweeny pack. That is another one of my favorite pieces. It's a very large handle. There's a smaller one as well, but that one you find if you just search chain. A big handle there, because it's supposed to be used to secure chains to things. But if you sink it in, you got a perfect large door handle. And the doors are floating. Which at first I tried solving by simply securing them to wall braces with rope, but they're still floating. And my brain is just imagining the pressure that puts on the hinges, so I did that. I do think these painted temple piece stones in combination with the Asian stones are, again, some of my favorite build. I have a lot of favorite building elements. And this is, I guess, deck the hallway. Ha ha ha. And here we are with the cinematic-ish shots. Back to the restaurant, which now has a door. Yay! And I plopped down a lot of trees. And covered those gaps in the path, which what looks like little snowdrifts. Those are the white rocks from the Arctic pack. I love that little train. It's so cute. Now tomorrow, since we are finished with the farm, I'm going to be doing something completely different, which is I'm going to be building a carousel or a merry-go-round, depending where in the world you're from. Yeah. And the horse actually walked in there itself. May I point that out? These animals are very good at sleeping exactly where I want them to.